Hello everyone and welcome to the top 10 most popular tech characters as chosen by you guys, the BBS community. This is the last of the popularity contests, and I want to thank all of you for voting these last few weeks. I wouldn't be able to make these videos without you guys. The tech attribute in particular holds a lot of my personal favorite characters, which is why I saved it for last. Now let's go ahead and see how you voted. Now this list is going to be a bit longer than others, because we had two characters tied for number 10. The first of which is Tag Team Toshiro, a character with a really high SP, Frenzy, and a strong attack damage link. This Toshiro can also inflict debilitating freeze on all of his attacks, and it's particularly useful on his strong attack 3, since it's a hybrid vortex move. Though it does feel a little less vortexy than other hybrid vortex moves, it still hits an above average number of times, and has a high chance of inflicting freeze. This attack along with his others have really good range, but what really sets him apart is his double killer. Toshiro has both a Soul Reaper and an Arrancar killer, which is the best combination to have in the game, since most of the bosses are either Soul Reapers or Arrancars. This makes him super useful in twice as many areas as normal characters, and especially useful in things like inheritance zones and droplet zones, since they often have both of these enemies. Toshiro's always been a crowd favorite, and this one in particular is definitely one of the more useful ones.
耐え難い天の座の空白も終わる。これからは私が天に立つ。
The second character to share the number 10 spot is the most recent iteration of Eisen. This Eisen has a really high SP and Frenzy. He's also got Berserker at 40, so his strong attacks are going to do a lot more damage than any regular character's strong attacks. In addition to that, he's also got Bruiser at 40, so his normal attacks are definitely not useless, since they can still deal a decent amount of damage themselves. But wait, there's more, because this Eisen transforms with a special. It may only last for 30 seconds, but during those 30 seconds, both his normal attacks and strong attacks do a decent amount more damage. Not to mention they're instantly recharged when he goes in and gets out of that transformation. Something that's particularly useful in Senkaimon, and now Guild Quests. Now Eisen has pretty good range on most of his attacks, including his full screen strong attack 3, the exception being his strong attack 2, and that's because it's a barrier move. This is quite unfortunate, but it gets a pass because it's a barrier move. He's also completely immune from being both poisoned and frozen, and perhaps his most useful trait is that he has guard break, making him a bit faster than most characters, and a lot more useful to auto with. They honestly loaded this guy up with plenty of abilities, which is understandable considering he's Eisen. I did always say we needed a remake of OG Eisen as well as a Captain Eisen, and they did both of that in one character. Good job, K-Lab. Now coming in at number 9 is yet another Eisen. This is the 4th fusion version of Eisen. Like the other one, he's also got a really high SP, Frenzy, and a strong tech recharge link. And while he may not have Berserker at 40, immunity to status ailments, or guard break, he does have quite a few abilities that make him one of the most useful tech characters in the game. For one thing, much like the other one, he does have Bruiser at 40. Except unlike the other one, his strong attack 2 is a boost move, making this even more viable, since it increases his attack defense and focus by 33% for 20 seconds. This means if you wanted to, you could totally use this guy for a normal attack damage build. This also affects the amount of damage his strong attacks deal, since the attack stat plays into how much damage strong attacks deal. Now much like the other one, he also has really good range on his strong attacks, including one of the better strong attack 1s. The only exception, again, is his strong attack 2, and that's because it has a secondary ability. And while the other Eisen special does deal more damage thanks to having Devastation at 60 as opposed to this one's Devastation at 40, this Eisen special has a small chance to instant kill. And if you've ever done Senkaimon, you know how useful this is. Over the last week, I watched both these Eisens rise up the popularity ranks, hoping that they'd end up side by side on the list, and I'm pretty happy they did, though Toshiro almost ruined it.
一気に型をつけるぜ。月が天章。
Next up on the list is perhaps the oldest character to be selected in a popularity contest across all the attributes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Lost Asian version of Ichigo, who has a really high SP as well as Frenzy. He's also got a strong attack damage link, and some pretty solid strong attacks. They all have pretty good range, and his strong attack 2 is really fast to activate. Then there's his strong attack 3 that's a full screen and it hits in multiple waves. In addition to that, he's also got a really good normal attack. His attack stat may not be that high, but he does have a plus 40 bruiser. He's also got long reach at 20 and an extremely fast attack string. Now obviously his strong attack builds are definitely better, since they encompass a larger range and do a lot more damage, but a normal attack build with this character is viable. Don't believe me? Shameless plug. Linked in the description below. He's withstood the test of time a lot better than most characters that came out before 2nd anniversary, and I'm not at all surprised to see him on this list.
冷圧をぶち込んで叩き起こしたいやつがいるんだ。まだ全然使いこなせちゃいねえけどな。
Coming in at number 7 is another tech Ichigo, this time being the Shikai 1000-Year Blood War version, who, in my opinion, is actually the coolest design of Ichigo in this game, excluding the ones where he's transformed. He not only has a really high attack, but he also has Flurry and a normal attack damage link. He was not only the first Ichigo with Flurry, but also the first ranged Flurry character, and it let him mow down the enemies in front of him with ease. Now despite having Flurry, he also has decent strong attacks. They don't deal that much damage, but they are quite useful. His strong attack 1 pushes enemies back, his strong attack 2 is a crawling vortex move, and his strong attack 3 is a full screen move. That's super useful for breaking enemy guards. And if you're ever needing to deal more damage, you can just use the special. The special itself doesn't deal that much damage, but it does inflict weakened defense, and it allows you to deal more damage with your normal attack. Now unfortunately, this Ichigo did come out at a time where characters with Flurry didn't have the best killers, and he ended up getting an Espada killer. Now you can still deal plenty of damage with him if you build him correctly and increase his attack, but unfortunately he doesn't get the advantage of multiplying killers in any of the events that multiply killers, unless you're going up against an Espada boss. Either way, he can still deal plenty of damage. I do hope they end up remaking him though, as I like the concept of dual wielding Ichigo.
Bankai! Jakhorai Koben! この一撃で終わらせてやろう。
Now there's absolutely no surprise that this Soifun made it on this list. She is still one of the best tech characters you can have. Seriously, K-Lab outdid themselves when they made this character, and she's definitely ahead of her time. She's got a really high SP and frenzy, as well as a fairly decent attack. She's also got a boosted strong attack damage link of 14%, and all of her attacks have a chance to inflict debilitating poison, except for her special, which can inflict debilitating burn. Her attacks can all cover a wide area, and thanks to her recharge poison combination, she's actually a pretty good boss killer. In fact, she's one of the best characters to take care of bosses. Because she's a Soifun, she gets an above average number of flash steps, making it a lot easier to dodge specials. This one in particular also gets long stride, and the combination of the two make her one of the fastest characters in the game.
ギフトベラ石からは絶対脱出不可能だ。ギフトリング
Next up is one of the newest tech characters, Asukin, whose attack is only beaten out by the resurrected version of Dangai Ichigo. In addition to that high attack, he's also got Bruiser at 30 and Flurry, meaning his normal attack is gonna deal a lot of damage. Asukin's also got Poise, meaning he does not stagger when hit, and he can neither be paralyzed nor poisoned. Now Asukin is clearly a PvP character. He's got a damage reduction soul trait of 16%, and he starts with 10 barriers. He does have a major flaw though, and that's in his killer, as it's a zero squad killer, which means it only really affects 5 characters in the entire game. Still, it doesn't mean you can't use him in PvE. He can still bring the damage, and his normal attack, strong attack 1, and strong attack 3 can all inflict poison. He's also the first and only character at the time of this recording that has a strong attack 2 that's a debuff move, which lowers the attack of enemies around him, something that's super useful in PvP but can also be quite useful in PvE, especially against bosses. And finally we have Asukin's special. It may not deal that much damage, but it does have a small chance to instant kill the enemy, which is definitely useful in both PvE and PvP. He's definitely one of the Stern Ritter people we're most excited for, and despite having the worst killer in the game, he does not disappoint.
Bankai 観音開き絵に姫改め仕方ないっすね
Coming in at number 4 is the character that I personally voted for, the 1000-Year Blood War version of Kisuke, who's not just my favorite tech character, but also my favorite character in the entire game. This Kisuke has a really high SP as well as frenzy. He's also got pretty good range on his strong attacks, with a strong attack 3 being a full screen, a radial strong attack 2 that hits in 2 waves, and a 180 max strong attack 1 that splits off in 3 directions. This version of Kisuke is also completely immune to being poisoned, and his special grants protection status to any team member alive when he uses it, bringing them back from the dead at 50% of their health if they were to die. Now granted, we do have a lot of other characters that are stronger with this same ability. However, Kisuke was the first, and it's a really valuable thing to have in PvE, especially in co-op. This design of Kisuke is definitely the coolest, and I'm really glad that I'm not the only one who thought so.
逃げられると思うな。ディエンテス・デ・キブロン
Coming in at number 3 is Espada number 3, the Can't Fear Your Own World version of Tierra Halibel, specifically the Beyond Resurrection one. Now, I'm not at all surprised to see her on this list. She's personally one of my favorite characters in the game, and there's a 50% chance I would have voted for her if Kisuke wasn't tech. This version of Halibel has a really high SP and frenzy. She's also got Berserker at 40%, so her strong attacks are going to deal a lot of damage. Her strong attacks also have really good range thanks to her Havoc being at 20. This pushes her strong attack 3 to beyond full screen, and it gives really good range to her strong attacks 1 and 2. Her strong attack 2 in particular is very important, because it's a boost move that's also a shield move. Typically those attacks don't have the best range, but with her Havoc being at 20, this particular one does. And it increases her attack, defense, and focus by 33%, while also giving her and her teammates barriers. Now Halibel's attack was already fairly decent for a character with a high SP. Thanks to the boost, it is 33% stronger, and this Halibel has Bruiser at 40, meaning that her normal attack is actually viable. Finally, this Halibel has a complete immunity to being frozen. She's honestly a very versatile character, and she's able to deal more damage than most characters with her normal attacks, strong attacks, and her special. It's no wonder she plays so high.
行くぜ。レボルベルロスロボス。逃げられると思うが。
Remember how previously I said there was a 50% chance that I would have voted for Halibel if Kisuke wasn't tech? Well, may I present to you the other 50%, the Can't Fear Your Own World version of Stark. The community really wanted another version of Gunner Stark, and boy did we get it. He definitely does not disappoint. He has a really high SP, Frenzy, and Havoc at 20. Combine that with his strong attack recharge link, and you have one of the most fun characters to use in the whole game, whose strong attack 3 is beyond full screen, and strong attacks 1 and 2 have unbelievable range. He also has the advantage of inflicting debilitating burn on all of his attacks, and because he can spam them, he's very likely to do so. In addition to inflicting burn, he's also completely immune to it. Stark has always been my favorite Espada. He doesn't have that many variants in this game, but the ones that he does have are usually some of my favorite characters, and I'm really happy he ended up on this list. Thank you all once again for voting. Here are a few characters that almost made it on this list, and while usually there are 5, once again, a couple of those characters tied, so you're gonna get 6 this time.
しょうがないね。色に黒。
私が吹き飛ばしてあげる。あなたの心も晴れたかしら。ここまで。はしたない真似はあまり好ましくありませんわ。油断した方が負けですわよ。
千景千本桜影吉王に一家先人か。
どんな理由があろうと隊長に剣を向けることは僕が許さない。
あかんな。
楽しかった。また一緒に来ようよ。ね。
I am #1 Zanpakuto Creator!
ジャンボクの刀は一振り一冊さ。
He is the #1 Zanpakuto creator and the #1 most popular tech character in Bleach Brave Souls. I'm of course talking about Oetsu, whose special is almost as unskippable as Christmas Rukia's. Oetsu has a really high attack. He's also got Bruiser at 40 and Flurry, making his normal attacks some of the strongest in the whole game. In addition to that, he's also got Berserker at 50%, so his strong attacks are actually going to deal a decent amount of damage. His strong attack 3 is a full screen move, his strong attack 1 is a lunge move, but most importantly there's his strong attack 2. It's not only a boost move but also a vortex move that surrounds him, which is a really good combination, since it staggers the enemies around him while increasing his attack for 20 seconds and letting you deal a whole lot of damage. Now ordinarily a character like this would have either a damage reduction soul trait or a normal attack soul trait. However, Oetsu has a strong attack recharge soul trait, letting him get his strong attacks back faster. Combine that with his complete immunity to paralysis, as well as his guard break ability, and you have one of the best normal attacking PvE characters in the entire game, who can auto events incredibly efficiently, while also providing support for the team. Then we have Oetsu's special, that on its own doesn't deal that much damage but does have a chance to instant kill the enemy. Honestly, he's useful in just about everything. PvE, PvP, Senkaimon, you name it. And it's why he's so many people's favorite tech character. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for some more top 10 lists.